Hi everyone and welcome back. My name's Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. I'm going to do another violin review for you today. It is this one which is just behind me here. It is the Stentor Conservatoire violin. And I'm just going to start off by saying that there are a variety of places that you can buy this violin from. I'll put links in the description bar underneath if you want to know where to buy it from. You can buy it from multiple places from the UK and from the US as well. So to give you a rough idea, in the UK it retails for about £220. That just depends on where you go. I've just kind of taken a rough kind of average. And in America it retails for about $238. Again, that's just kind of a rough average that I've given you there. So this is what the company say about themselves. So according to them, Stentor are the leading manufacturer of student stringed orchestral instruments worldwide. We are also the UK's leading independent distributor of musical instruments, developing and representing some of the best quality musical brands. We supply the music retail trade in the UK and Ireland with a wide range of quality instruments, parts and accessories. So that is Stentor themselves, and I'm just going to, I have my iPad here, I'm just going to go through what they say on their website about the Stentor Conservatoire violin, just before I go into a couple of demos for you. A finely carved spruce front, solid carved flamed maple back. So if I show you the back, it looks like it's a two-piece back as well. So that's the back of it. Shellac varnish, ebony fingerboard and pegs, inlaid perfing, which is the black the black that you see that coats the rim of the violin there. So that's the inlaid perfing. Tailpiece with integral adjusters, Tekka pattern chin rest, synthetic gut strings, so because you're paying a little bit more you're getting some nice strings on there, selected wood bow with an ebony frog, and deluxe oblong lightweight case. So that's all the ins and outs on the violin. What I'm going to do is play a couple of songs for you so you can hear what it sounds like, and then I'll go through some pros and cons and the summary for you. So a quick demo there. The song I actually played was, I've written that song, it's called Love's Young Echo. You can buy the sheet music and the backing track from my shop if you want. I'll put a link directly underneath. But in case any of you want to know, that song was called Love's Young Echo, written by me. So this is I can't get my words out. This is the Stentor Conservatoire violin. So retailing at around about £220 pounds, $230 or so. You're kind of going to expect a little bit more for your money. So starting with the pros, I like it. It looks really nice. It feels really nice. It feels it feels and it looks a lot more like I suppose like a professional violin, you know, something that you might see me have, or something that you might see someone else playing on YouTube, that kind of thing. So it looks a lot more like a professional violin compared to the other ones that they do, the cheaper ones, for example, because it's all maple. So immediately, if anything's made of maple, it's going to start looking really nice. It's kind of a flame red, I would probably say, in colour. Don't know how much of that is coming out over the video. But yes, it looks and feels nice. I think the main thing, I've said that about a lot of the Stentor violins, because I am impressed with the quality per price that they're doing, that they're managing to kind of spin these out for. But I think the main thing with this, yes, it is really nice, but the first thing I notice is that there's just no messing around with it. You just get on, you play it, boom, that's it. Everything is just, you know, there's no faffing around. the tone quality, oh, I've got to try and improve, oh, I've got to, there is none of that. You just get it out of the box, you play it, it's job done. Tuning was really nice as well, as a little side note there, but there's just no messing around with this. It's just, everything about it is just really nice, it's really smooth, it's really clean, crystal clear, that kind of thing. But again, for the money, you're expecting that. I think with the Stentor brand as a whole, there is quite a bit of a difference between each of the violins that they have. For example, from the student standard to the Stentor 1 to the Stentor 2 to this one, for example, there is there's a difference in price, but there is also a difference in quality. They're all sitting in a different quality bracket depending on what you want, depending on your needs, depending on what you like, depending on what you can afford. So for this one, I think it sits very nicely in the bracket. It looks very nicely finished as well. I'm having a hard time picking any holes out on any of this. You know, there's no kind of globules that you get with the varnish or anything like that. So it does look like there has been some care on there. The fingerboard looks really nice. It looks clean. Some of them can look a little bit like they've missed a few brush strokes and things, but this looks really clean. The bridge is quite nicely placed as well. There's a nice kind of bend in the bridge, so I'm not hitting any of the other strings. I don't think you'd have to go away and change the strings on this at all. If you wanted to experiment and buy some Parastros or something like that, just for a laugh, just because you wanted to, then go ahead and do that. That's completely up to you. But these strings, I think I read that they were gut strings, I believe, so they should already sound quite warm. Now there is a bit of a tone in here as well. It's a shame that I don't have this. It's a shame that I'm just not able to play this for months and months and months on end. As many of you may or may not know, when you buy a violin, you can actually warm a violin up. So this is very cold at the moment. Not cold in temperature, just cold just because the wood hasn't had time to move. There's been no sound reverberating through the wood. So with the vibrations as I'm playing, the wood is moving and kind of negotiating around the violin. All sounds a little bit weird, but it is true, and it does make a huge amount of difference. So even my antique violin that I've got, a German violin, it's not branded. We just know that it's a German violin, over 250 years old. When I bought that, it did sound a little bit different, but I could hear the tone coming through. I just knew it was going to get warmer. So eventually, after a few months, that goes away. But I can hear a nice warm tone coming through here, and I wonder whether some of that is coming from the gut strings. When you've got gut strings, you tend not to have so much power and brightness, but you get a nice rounded warm tone. This violin sounds quite deep, quite velvety. I don't know what this is coming out on camera, but to my ears in the room, this is how I would describe this. More deeper and more velvety, darker, that kind of area, as opposed to sweet and light and bright and that kind of thing. So this has definitely got a little bit more more sustenance to it, a little bit more of a meaty violin. But again, I wonder whether that's the strings. With something like this violin and upwards, you can experiment with strings. If you buy expensive strings, for example, Parastro do a massive range of strings, anything from gut, synthetic, nylon, that kind of thing, and you can, depending on what strings you use and in what combination, you really can create a different tone on your violin. But most of the time, all of that is lost on really cheap violins. So if you're looking at anything less than £100 or $100, you can use those expensive strings on those violins, but you won't be getting the most out of them as you would, say, for example, on my violin or something like this. So I think this would be the beginnings of, if you put some different strings on here, it would actually start to improve the sound of the violin. It would work with that. But like I say, with the cheaper ones, because the wood and the violin just isn't so responsive anyway, you're only going to be getting sort of 30% out of the strings. The strings will improve it, but you won't be getting the most out of them like you would if you put them on mine or you put them on here. So I think if you wanted to experiment with some nice strings, if you spent $60 and upwards on a set of strings, or £60 and upwards on a set of strings, that sounds like a lot of money for a set of strings. So that's up to you if you want to spend that. But if you did and you were into that kind of thing and you could afford that kind of thing, then you could experiment and it would be worth it on something like this. So it would change the tone. Okay, so negative points, I don't think there really are any. it matches the price, the quality matches the price. So if you got this, I think you'd get every bit of your dollar out of this. Yeah, I don't think there isn't actually anything that I don't like about this. Maybe if it was just me, but you know, I've got this kind of obsession with my own chin rest that I just don't like the chin rest because I don't use a shoulder rest, so I don't have much gap between kind of my jaw and my shoulder. I just have the violin clamped in between my chin and my shoulder. I always have done for years and years and years, for 20 odd years now. So I would just prefer just a thinner chin rest, but that's just me being finicky and a bit funny, not a reason to not buy the violin, but just a personal preference. But now I'm finding it, I'm trying really hard to find something wrong with the violin. There isn't anything wrong with it. I just prefer something a bit thinner on the chin rest. So in summary, I think a beginner could buy this violin. I don't see there's any reason why a beginner wouldn't buy this violin. So that's it, that's everything I need to mention on this, I think. Thanks very much for watching. All the links are in the description bar underneath where you can buy it from, and I've got a playlist where all my video reviews are as well, so go and check those out and in the description bar underneath. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.